Hello everyone and welcome to the Friday night fight stream on Randomised Gaming. I am your host, Random Gamer Riven.
And I'm Random Gamer Dragoon.
Yes, here with my co-host. As always, we battle it out. And just to say, I will be player 2, so I will be on the right of the screen and Dragoon will be player 1 on the left of the screen. So, we're going to be doing Fighting EX Layer, which is basically a follow-on Street Fighter EX. It was released in 2018 and was published and developed by Akira. Now, Akira famously did the Street Fighter EX series on PS1. They also notably did a game called Fighting Layer, which was done by Namco, and that's basically pretty much the same sort of engine. In fact, this is really a sequel to Fighting Layer. A number of characters from Street Fighter EX appear in this. I believe Akira got the right, kept the rights to their characters from Street Fighter. So although there's like weirdness, some of these characters are straight out of Street Fighter EX. Well, in this case, I'm playing as the guest character, Terry, from SNK's King of, Fatal Fury series, or Guru. The only downside, this is a 3-bout system, which is really irritating. So, Fighting Layer basically was released, apparently it was originally released as part of an April Fool's joke, I heard a couple people say. And it's, you know what, it's actually a really solid fighter on the PS4. It's a really great, it really is one of those games that really took me by surprise when it came out, because the fighting combat is absolutely fantastic. Now, that's not to say it's a perfect fighter, and it's certainly got its flaws. In fact, the Kagoj, or whatever the system's called, is blooming awful, with the fact that you get, it's probably one of the most broken, unbalanced examples of a fighting game system I've ever seen. Those icons at the bottom basically give players damage buffs and all sorts of things, and it completely breaks the game, unfortunately. So that's where the negatives come in. But as a fighting game, it's probably a better title, I would say, than Street Fighter V. It just feels better.
Round 3, fight.
Now, this is a very much combo centric. Basically, if you're a fan of sort of the 90s games or even the Street Fighter EX, this basically follows on from that sort of fighting system. But it's the Go-Kidges, which are the sort of additive. You do things like damage enhancements. I always felt they're just totally unbalanced. And indeed, there were certain combinations of them that just can make you ungodly. It's not even funny. And unfortunately, I suspect that system is why this game probably didn't do particularly well. But it is actually, if you just want a great fighting game, if you don't mind putting aside the go, it's a shame there isn't the option. So you'll notice we're doing it in 3 rounds. That's because, as far as we could tell, there is no option to reduce it to 2 rounds, which is one of the many oversights this game has, unfortunately.
Yeah, my personal preference in fighting games is 2 rounds as opposed to 3. Tournament fighters may prefer 3 best of 5. I've always preferred best of 3.
Really, best of 3 scene for 3D fighters, but as this is not a 3D fighter, it's a bit weird. This is what we regard as a 2D, 3D fighter.
Yeah, I mean, the Goji decks are strange. Infamously, the beta for this, I don't think, did itself any favours. When the game, if anyone who played this during the beta would have known very quickly that the game was very unbalanced towards Skullman.
Yeah, the other thing is the Goji system. Certain ones, if you just pick stuff, so I'll do Juggernaut as well. If you certain Gojis just completely unbalance the game with certain characters, you can make yourself literally invulnerable. And it's unfortunately a problem with the game. But overall, it's a really nice title, but it's just that the balancing is where the issue lies. And you can't turn off the Goji system as well. I think it's Goji, yeah, Gujai, I think it is.
Guki, I imagine, because they pronounce I's like E in Japanese.
But it's just not good. The Guki. But if you ignore the Goki system, so I don't think there's even you can disable it either. What you end up with is a very impressive 2D style fight. I was actually quite surprised when I played it because it looks better than Street Fighter 5. I mean, Street Fighter 5 really is a horrendously bad game. Every time I say Street Fighter 5, I just cannot mention it with a straight face. It's just a terrible, terrible game. This is a really good combo-centric. Everything feels right. It's just so yeah, you've got an attacker. Well, that's why we both got the same. I think it's best we stick with the same Goki system just to keep it balanced, because some of the Gokis are just so unbalanced. Just playing it, it's just. Now, we played this a bit. We haven't played this a huge amount, so forgive. The supers are just pretty much the standard stuff, but you can chain everything together, which is what I really like about this one. It's some nice little combos there. This really is a fast-paced action fighter. In fact, this is probably more towards the Street Fighter 3 speed than the Street Fighter 4 or 5. One of the things of Street Fighter 4 was the speed of Street Fighter 4. The game was noticeably slowed down for rookie players, so. One of you really can, with the Gokage system, one of you really can gain the advantage. So we'll probably have a slightly shorter fight night tonight, just as aware, as we're currently filming some other stuff that will probably go up in the week if I get the chance. Well, although I'm taking a vacation next week, I will try and get a few bits done for. That was quite good, that counter blow at the end. It's like a proper. We will probably have a playthrough of a game that is about to go offline in the form of Knights of Valor on the PS4, which is a really good scrolling beat 'em up if you haven't played it. Unfortunately, it's an online-only scrolling beat 'em up, and it is literally about to come Monday. They're switching it off, so if you haven't played it, you ain't going to be playing it pretty much. But it's a really, really good game. It's a shame. Well, they said the publisher no longer wants to do it. And I think when I looked at it, the publisher looked like they sort of might have been in. They're certainly European, the publisher. I think they look like might be Scandinavia or German with some of the names I've seen the publishing. So, Fighting EX Layer, I want to call it Fighting Layer EX, but it's Fighting EX Layer, basically is a follow-on to their original Fighting Layer game. And I've mentioned it's got the Street Fighter characters, but it's also got a number of other changes. So I think in total it's a very polished fighter, but I think when it released it was quite bare bones, and when it released it was also very, very, very expensive, which is the classic mistake a lot of Japanese developers make. You can't. In Japan, the entertainment industry is still quite expensive. Quite why, I'm not sure, because if that were me, I wouldn't be paying the price. But in Yeah, I noticed that. I'm not the default colours, so I think I will adjust them. Now, Skullmania is the character. He's one of the characters that first appeared in Street Fighter EX, but I think he is an Akira character. So some of these guys you will recognise from Street Fighter EX. In fact, I was playing Street Fighter EX3 the other day.
Round 2. Fight. Easy. KO. Corner. Round 3. Fight.
Mainly pressing punch.
So I'm just going to press options, command list. What are base moves, throws, super combo, special attacks? But yeah, they're literally like a way towards and kick and stuff. I was going to say, I remember them being really easy to pull off. Now, as a fighter, this is actually, as mentioned, it is a very, very solid fighter. We're going to basically I think we'll probably do about 40 minutes of it tonight. Or maybe we can just about reach the full hour. Interesting, I saw this actually got a retail release in Japan. And it is visually, it's a very good looking fighter, which is quite surprising because Akira really haven't made that much since. Akira really are a developer that disappeared into obscurity. If I'm being brutally honest, when they announced this, I'm actually surprised they were still in business, to be quite frank.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the Street Fighter EX, is Akira best known for the Endless Ocean games and various diving simulators on the PS2 they do.
So D-Dark was another character from Street Fighter Alpha. But yeah, one's the default colour scheme. Actually, there's the classic progressive controls, isn't it? Wasn't it classic the better ones? Now that I remember, classic was the more progressive, the sort of weird.
Might have been, yeah.
Yeah, you got classic and progressive controls. I suddenly realised we're still set out to be progressive, and we probably actually want to swap back to classic.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I remember. Because trying to actually do some of them, these guys moves in combos when they're set up in progressive is a bit tricky. So D-Dark, you may, if you played Street Fighter EX, you will recognise him from the Street Fighter EX games. We will cover them at some point on the channel. We do have all of them, but they're really not. What's the nicest way to say? They're really not top tier fighting games, to put it mildly.
KO. Round 2. Fight. KO.
もっと踊りたいのに。
Round 3. Fight.
飛び出プレス。飛び出プレス。スリルキック。
So it's interesting, I think in the world of fighting, it's interesting to see that we won't be getting an EVO this year. Now, I have to admit, I'm not a fan of professional fighting tournaments, but an online-only one was always going to be a bit dubious and guaranteed smack loads of cheating. It's been called off for some unfortunate reasons. I'm not going to go into details, but yeah. You can read about them if you want, but basically I've never been a fan of EVO. I just don't think they seem very professional, and the recent allegations that have been raised against some of the things would suggest that's part of the thing. I just feel that, I mean, for me, a fighting tournament needs to be more about just a couple of fights. I think you really do want people to be able to, as I said before, people who are good at fighting games should be able to be masters with pretty much all the characters, because quite frankly these games are not that in-depth, and it's not that hard to get used to and master all the different characters. And really I would argue that if we're going to do fighting tournaments, they should be proper, you know, best of 20 or so wins out of all the different characters. I think this is probably one of the, what I'd call a hidden gem on the PS4. I think the only complaint we had with it is that there wasn't, on release there wasn't a huge amount of single player content. There is an arcade mode now and a few bits, but there's still not a huge amount of content. I do like the combo system for this, it is very good, but the go key system does just really unbalance it all very much.
Snyder.
Cycling through the stages rather than selecting them.
Yeah, we seem to have got a few repeats in the round, but there's quite a lot of stages, so sometimes random select is not particularly very good.
Seeing as how this is the third time
We've fought on this stage, yeah, sometimes random select is not always very good. Oh yeah, we've got the sort of Ken Ryu characters at the minute. I think...
that's Ken. Yeah.
Yeah, this is these two are definitely Ken sort of Ryu characters. But I must admit, as a fighter, this is incredibly smooth. Like, it's definitely more fun than Street Fighter 5. It's just a better game than Street Fighter 5. I know it's not got as much content as Street Fighter 5. I think Akira have now really sort of finished off with this because this hasn't sold particularly well. But if you want to buy it now, they did reduce the price quite heavily. It's much cheaper to buy now. In fact, it's a much better price now than when it was when it first came out. When it originally released, it was just far too expensive, and that was the problem. You want to do this? Yeah, so this is the classic setup, so you get the proper double things. The new age setups are, although the new age setup's probably better for beginners, this one's definitely there we go. Fire. Yeah, these two are two of the sort of Ryu Ken characters. And visually, it's I would say it probably is a touch better than Street Fighter 5. It just feels tighter. The collision just worked. The collision on this is pretty much spot on. And Street Fighter 5 has a lot of collision issues. Street Fighter 5 is one of the things that I've said before, and I know I can go. Well, if you're a professional tournament player and you're playing Street Fighter 5, why aren't you raising all the collision issues? Because you know jack about video games if you're not raising the fact that collision is not connecting. And Street Fighter 5 has some really obvious collision issues, which this doesn't. This I just find to be just a much better fighter. Yes, the Go Key system does unbalance it, and really you want to agree prior to either turn off the... Now, I don't even think you can turn off the Go Key system. You can't turn it off, which there should have been an option to turn it off. Kira, if they're listening to this or watch this stream back, you need to put in an option to just turn it off, because it's just so much more professional but when you have an option to turn it all off. I mean, visually, this is just... Oh, nice little knee there. Very good. Fireball. Because visually, I think this even looks better than Street Fighter 5 in terms of the character design. They just look. They have that cartoony look, but they just look a bit more realistic. Street Fighter 5 has a weird sort of, almost like super deformed look of some of the characters. And there is a disconnect between some of the moves and just the bounce. Street Fighter 5 is just, it's just not a world. But this is actually quite a good fighter. Okay, as I mentioned, the Go Kid system is not great at all. That's the one area this game falls down in. But everything else, you know, you've got quite a few characters. I should say, I think Hokoto and Terry are DLC characters. Actually, was it Hokoto or is it Hokoto? Basically, me and Dragoon are about to play as the same character. So Hokoto is Shirazar, but Shirazar's like her enhanced version or something. But I think once they've reduced the price on this, it's a much better prospect as a fighting game. You know what? It's just really solid. Now I can't say how big the online community for it is now. I have no idea. I haven't played this online that much, but for just playing with a mate, this is really good. The combo system's really easy to pick up. As you see there, I mean, I've not played this at all, but you're able to deliver quite a few combos very effectively, very swiftly, and everything just flows really well, doesn't it? The combo system in this, the controls, everything feels intuitive. So
yeah, I mean, probably the one thing I'd say is that online, certainly during the beta, you could get hammered by massive combos, particularly Skullomania, and again, I think that has played against it. If you have a beta where people get absolutely
hammered by others, then it's gonna...
Where the system isn't balanced. I mean, look at Mortal Kombat 10. It's like playing a chess game. First person to get their move in guarantees they do a series of brutal combos in Mortal Kombat 10 where you can strip half your health off. And if you make the mistake and you miss, and I mean Mortal Kombat 10 as well, there are a number of characters, Cyrax, or the Triborg, Scorpion, that the sort of cheesy players use all the time, and you know as soon as you get one, the kind of combos
they're going to be pulling off. Yeah, I mean, bad players will pick overpowered characters, I think is the word to describe it. Basically, if you're not a good player, you pick. But at the same time, you can't, even the best player alive can't. If you pick the weakest character, you're putting yourself at a severe disadvantage. And there are some core things they could do to stop some of the balancing issues. There are a few things that I would like to see in fighting games in terms of design that I'm not yet seeing, and I think there's some real oversight and a lack of vision by some designers. I think her Shirai's form, is it Shirai's, her Koto Shirai's form, she's definitely got slightly longer range on those kits. But you can see there, she's basically got they're basically similar movesets. But it's just such a good fast fighter. You know, I wasn't expecting a lot when I played the beta, but I was really impressed with it. I just think the problem was that the initial price point was just far too expensive. Now, the price point now... Hello, Mizo, no, Zika TV, thanks for joining this stream. As always, it's always nice for you guys drop by and say hi in the comments. We do appreciate that on this randomised gaming stream. Apologies, I probably Maizu no Sikai. Apologies if I mispronounce your name. My Japanese is not great. There's a good range of characters in this as well, I will say. Arena. So there's a couple of characters were added in for
as updates.
Yeah, so there's 2 paid for ones, but did we do the night one? Or we did the day one, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she was a 3 update character. There were 2 DLC characters, and then they added in a few as 3 updates, so... They've got the right amount of flair, while at the same time not being so sort of wacky and super deformed that they look unrealistic. Yeah, Rose has actually got some nasty combos. I remember playing some before, I was quite surprised. I just think the Gokai system is where this game falls down. But see, there's some great characters. Time to go. She's hugging her cybernetic arm there. I mean, this probably almost looks as good as Mortal Kombat 10. I think Mortal Kombat 10 is by far probably the best looking. And I mean, if you've got this, certainly this has been on sale. I think what you pick it up for about £10?
Yeah.
It was about a tenner with the DLC, and then the characters are a bit extra, but I think you picked it all up for 20 quid, which was a really good price. So I think now once they reduce the price, it's a much better pickup. There is an arcade mode, there is a training mode, but I don't know if they're going to be doing any more content, Akira. It's a shame. It's a really good game, but I think one of the things is this is 2018, so it's quite late to the actual in terms of this generation. This has come out quite late, which is the problem. I mean, Street Fighter 5 they're just finished off totally, but seeing who haven't I played as yet. It's actually taken us quite a while to cycle through all the characters. I don't believe there's any hidden unlockable characters or anything. I think everyone's... so there's a couple added in via patches and a couple added in via the paid for DLC. And I believe that was Shirai's, I'm mispronouncing her name, and Terry Bogart from Fatal Fury Guru is definitely a paid for DLC characters, but as there's only the 2, I think, so it's quite reasonable. Now, Duran was originally in Street Fighter EX, and he bears more than a passing resemblance to was it Haken from Street Fighter 4? In fact, I'm almost certain that Hacken and Street Fighter 4 was based on Darren, because Darren was in Street Fighter EX long before Hacken emerged, so... I've got some great throw combos. It's one of those games that when I first played this, I did not expect it to play as well as it is. And the super combos, everything's just really easy to control. It's nice to have a fighter where the controls are just super easy and intuitive, and the combo system just ranks in with it. Oh yeah, she's just got the ammunition in her pistol as well. She can probably reload. Got a nice little punch there. Ooh. Oh yes, he's got like that combo one, hasn't he? It's a bit... Ah, I blocked the... I managed to... Ooh. I sort of slammed to end the round there.
Round 3, fight!
I mean, visually, the music's pretty good. I think my only real gripe is the lack of single-player modes, probably. There is an arcade ladder, although it's quite unforgiving at points, and there's not a huge amount more, it's fair to say.
Round 4, fight!
Okay. I do like the fact it's so easy to chain together combos. I like a fight that where you can easily chain together combos, but at the same time, I do like fighters where you can bring combos to an end. It's always unfair to have a character receive what is effectively an endless combo. That's just not fun.
Final round, fight!
But certainly when seeing they reduced the price on this, I think this is a highly recommended one. Admittedly, you can wait for it's on sale again, but as a fighter now, I would say, you know, if you're a fighting fan, if you perhaps didn't like Street Fighter 5 that much and want something that's pretty solid, although admittedly online it's going to be a bit broken because of the Go Cage system. No, you're welcome, Maizu.
Sanane!
Just sort of going through the various stages. I think we're trying to avoid the ones we've already had, as the random select can be a bit hit and miss. And sometimes it's not very random either. I have known AI for random selects to be just a bit. Again, she's got some. Shanae has got some real range on that bow star. Oh, nice little counter. Oh, I was hoping to get a counter. I got a counter throw. But...
Round 2. Fight.
It's half second forward, isn't it? We can actually do that 3 times. So oh, yeah. Nice little.
Yeah, he starts
KO. Round 3. Fight.
But yeah, this is one of those really good fighters that really is. I mean, the stage design's probably a little bit bland, I think, or maybe. So one of the things you will note about the stage is there aren't really background characters. No, although, admittedly, that means there aren't any distractions in the background. Sometimes you can be quite amusing by watching background characters. So.
Hayate.
I think we finally. I mean, although this was perhaps not the most popular game, certainly they've done a lot of characters for it in total. What have you got there? You've got 1, 2. We didn't do the castle at night, did we? And the cast of this game is very wacky. So you've got a load of characters with swords, cybernetic arms. It's all very much. Hato's got yeah. I mean, we just saw the last girl we just had. Hayate seems to be quite a commonly used Japanese style name. I believe that was one of the characters' names in Shining Force 3 as well. Quite a few, there's a few sort of Japanese names you tend to see used again and again by a lot of them. Yeah, he's definitely got the striking range with those swords. Oh, the follow-up. Oh, nice. I left myself undefended there. So, the Goki system's an interesting one. I think the problem is that really, if you wanted to do it, the Goki should have had limited use. As it stands, they are... Ooh, that's me. Hitting the start button on the back. Oh, that was a nasty one. Oh, nice little lows. Oh, that was Buster Wolf, wasn't it? Oh.
Okay. Round 3.
Yeah, I mean, he's got all his training.
So yeah, I mean, it's actually quite nice to have them. I mean, some people may frown at the fact you've got a character from SNK games, but it's just nice to have a character everyone's familiar with, I suppose. But this is just such a good, such a nice game to do combos with. Oh, nice little rising attack there. Oh, that's going to win this. He's actually quite, I mean... the follow-on, there is a lot of damage, and once you start getting those go keys activated, they can really cause havoc. That's the problem with some of them, is that you can literally do additional like chip damage and all sorts. One of them, I remember, you could break the, basically allowed you to just do constant chip damage and stuff, so some of them really were not fair in the slightest to use. One of them, when I played in the beta, I realised one you could basically do constant combos with. It would give you a real advantage. Oh, nice follow up with the air combo. I mean, you can literally chain supers together in this, so you can do super after super when you've got a full bar. So this really is a super combo heavy game. And as always, guys, it's nice to see we've got quite a few of you on the stream tonight. If you like our content, please do hit that like button if you haven't already. Much appreciated. It's always nice to know you guys like our Fight Night streams. But we will be taking a break next week, so... So there won't be streams next week, partly as it's summer, partly as I'm taking a week off. So... Haven't played as Jack there with the old Stetson. Very much a cowboy look. Well, I say cowboy. Jack has the Hollywood cowboy look, as the genuine cowboys wore bowler hats, not Stetson hats that you see them all wearing sort of all the films. Will we be doing Mortal Kombat 11? At the minute we don't actually have Mortal Kombat 11, Maizu, but we probably will cover it at some point. Dragoon's a big Mortal Kombat fan, so he's not been overly impressed with Mortal Kombat 11. We did try it during the 3 trial, and we will cover it at some point, so we will pick it up. It's just one of those games that we haven't got round picking up. We were a bit Dragoon was rather disappointed with it. Even I mean, I've played Mortal Kombat since the very first one back in the arcades in the 90s, and I think the new one's been a bit disappointing. I'm not entirely liking the basically it's based on the Injustice system, so but we will play it at some point, but I can't say when. We will cover Mortal Kombat more in the channel.
Yeah, I got slightly annoyed recently with the latest patch to Mortal Kombat 10, which just adds in an advert for Mortal Kombat 11, which is a very annoying update. They don't fix the towers, which you can't get. Half of the towers haven't been in rotation for up to 4 years now, including the April Fool's Tower, and yet they bother to...
Well, that reminds me, when do they switch the towers again?
Tuesday.
Okay, I might try and knock through the... A couple of characters have super moves that put you prone. Yeah, he's got a really hefty punch. We haven't actually covered Mortal Kombat 10. I think we're more likely to cover Mortal Kombat 10.
Or 9.
Yeah.
We've done 3 already.
We covered Mortal Kombat 3 in the Fight Night, so it's going to be a little while before we cover, because we want to try and cover as many fighting series before we start repeating series, I think. Because it's always nice to show a big mix of titles in the Fight Night streams.
Round 4, fight!
Nice little super throw there. Oh, I got you the counter there, Dragoon. There is, you do feel this really, you do. Once you begin to get a hold of this one, you can really take it. I just really like how this, that one puts the airborne, so you can basically do, you have to really master that one, the airborne one. Oh. Got you the Hades counter. I think I'm just trying to think who I haven't. I haven't been Shadow Geese. I mean, how many characters you got? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yep. Which actually, it's a nice number of characters for a fighter. This is, as I mentioned before, this did surprise me when it came out because it wasn't. This was much better than what I was expecting. I was expecting a sort of, how do you say, middle of the road fighter, and actually it was quite a good one. But when as I mentioned, I really enjoyed the beta, but when I played the beta from a design perspective with my design hat on, I knew instantly the Gokai system and the fact Akira didn't include some key options like turn it off and stuff, that was always going to be an issue. Shadow Geist reminds you a bit of a Powers Ranger villain. He has a bit of those sort of Sensei villains, so, you know, you see, hoo-ha-ha, Power Rangers, now I come for you. Nice little... I mean, this really is one we just literally... I mean, I should say we're actually playing with fight pads tonight. We do have fight pads on the PS4. It does make it a lot more enjoyable, trust me. The they've got like proper Saturn style 360 pads, D-pad, so it's just so much nicer on the hands. We're not a huge fan of the PS1. Now there is a huge amount of combos you can do in this. We're only sort of scratching the surface with the sort of depth of how you... I mean, you can literally combo. This one really is... I think it's even more combo-centric than I'd say Street Fighter 5. And there's D-Dark winning again. Yeah, I mean, D-Dark you may recognise from... He first appeared... I think he's definitely in Street Fighter EX2. I can't remember if he's in Street Fighter EX1. But there's mentioned quite a few of the characters shown in this originally first debuted in Street Fighter EX. Some of them then reappeared in Fighting Layers. Although Fighting Layers was published by Namco, so I don't think it's a direct... this is not a direct sequel to Fighting Layers. Fighting EX Layers is not a direct sequel to Fighting Layers, I believe. Although they were both developed by Akira. Clean sweep for you there. He's definitely got the range, Dark, with the sort of... He does look slightly kooky with the slightly weird eyes. Okay, I don't know if that's you off Maizuka, but thanks for joining the stream as always. We will be back in the near future with another Fight Night. As always, we much appreciate people joining us on the Fight Night streams. Always great chatting to Randomised Gaming subscribers. If you are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed to us, then if you like our content, please do subscribe. We do stream weekly, although I will be taking a break off next week as I've done it. I've been streaming every night since the start of the UK lockdown on the weekdays, so we now I think I've been streaming for like 4 months solid, so I think I'm due a little bit of a break. I haven't actually done the Ice Cruise one. Do Drift, Ice Cruise, Aurora. You'll notice some of the stages is based on the time of day, so you often get the same stage twice at a slightly different time of day. You don't see characters in the background, which I suppose you actually realise they can be a bit distracting when you've got things in the background. This is just a pure fighting game, so there's no one sort of lurking in the background. One of the advantages of doing 2D fighters in 3D is that, of course, originally you had a lot of the early 2D fighters when you moved left and right. they would just flip the animation. So like Sagat would change his
KO.
eye patch over which eye it had,
Round 2.
because of course they didn't use 3D models. Which just moved, we have actually moved around the stage, haven't we? We had the pool behind us a minute ago, so we've got a nice little cruise. I'm getting absolutely thumped. And oh, there we go, there's a real attack. Gotcha.
KO. Round
There's certainly a sense of humour with her, with how having her bot sort of give. His other one's court circle towards kick, by the way, to green. That was the dragon punch one.
KO.
I think there is some slight imbalance with a few of the characters that I will say. I think Arena was one of the few characters that didn't have any, so there is sort of like a combo system, like, or challenge mode system. I think it's missing for one or two of the new characters. I don't think they added one for Arena, Arena being this character here. Oh yes. Didn't think I was going to win that one. So here we go with the siding bout. Actually, although we're not fans of 3 rounds, this one's such a quick fighter. You don't notice it too much, do you? It's not like some of the other ones where 3 rounds is an absolute. I think some of the fighting games 3 rounds would just be arduous. Oh. Ah. Another tight match. So is it keeping track of who's won or lost, or I think you might have slightly beaten me tonight, Dragoon, but I might be wrong. Yeah, it'd be nice if it actually had a win tally. I haven't played as Palmia. Just trying to see if I haven't played as yet. Definitely haven't played as Shiraz. We're at 53 minutes, guys, so we probably will wrap up the stream in the not too distant future. She reminds me of one of the characters, actually. She has that sort of Arabian look. Yeah, she also reminds me of one of the characters, the female character, very similar looking from Power Stone. Can't remember the name of the character. Very similar sort of. Just a sort of Arabian, Persian style designs. Oh, she's the sort of Cammy character with the spiraling bits. Ooh, oh! Counter the. You can definitely get counter moves in on the supers, unlike a lot of fighters. So quite a lot of them have quite hefty wind up. This does have a 3-hit chain combo, so it's really easy to chain together light, medium to heavy, which is always really nice in the fighter when because it's just great for beginners. Because one of the things you want is the beginners easily able to pick up games, and this one's really easy for beginners to pick up and just get some base combos in. There's nothing worse than having combos, oh you must chain this complex move in this one. It just makes that just ends up being elitist and just not very fun for half the player base. It was that low kick that low sweeping kick that was the issue with Skull, man. You just constantly just do that like low dive kick that was just such a pain. Gotcha. Oh, so a train coming around in the background there. So what is
this stage is obviously a blatant homage
to? Yeah, it's very Terry's King of Fighters. Actually, is this the one they did for Terry's King of Fighters? It may even be the one from. Oh, I was not expecting that black kick. Oh. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's the thing. You do get a lot of powered sort of returns and counters in this. I think we'll probably fit in one last fight before we wrap this up. I haven't played Sharon, have I? Actually, I'll be Kai, because I haven't been Kai either. I'll just go through. You've got loads of. We've actually the DLC for the amount of the amount of Goki setups. That was one of the things, is that initially you had to pay for the various Goki gem sets, and that just imbalanced it completely, because then it becomes a pay to win. The minute you start saying, oh hey, you've got to pay to buy these various setups, and I'm not a fan of the Goki gem system. It's the one thing I will say that Akira didn't think very well ahead. They've obviously had this idea, we'll add in the system to make it unique, but it's not a very good system because it just unbalances the game completely, and there are certain setups where you can just spew out so much damage. Oh, we got a flip of our earlier match. I think this is a nice one to end on. I think this will be the hour mark, so. And we're going to wrap up a little bit early tonight, so. I think definitely Karai has a bit more angled than Alan. Yeah, he's got quite like an alternative throw. I wasn't able to get that throw on you actually.
No, the range on some of the throws is a few little shorter.
But I think as a fighter, I much prefer this. Just fair to say, I think as long as you you and your buddy pick the same Gokens, then I think this is actually a really good fighter. I think online you're going to have to just basically spam the Gokai system and basically use it to your advantage, so get the right ones. But I think when just you and me doing it, or if you pick the same Gokage,
yeah, at least there's a level
of fairness, because you're playing with the same system, and neither of us are really going out to directly bump. If you're going to play this online, people will directly try to power up their Gokages as quickly as possible, give themselves advantages, and some of them really will give them huge advantages, sort of tack up, damage up. invulnerable counters. It just, and when you see that, you will see people really spam some of them.
KO. Round 4. Fight. Yeah.
But visually, I think as a package, I think the price that you can pick it up for now on the PSN store is relatively, it's quite a good price. So I would highly recommend it now. It was very expensive on launch, but launch was 2018, and they reduced it. What was it, last year?
Yeah.
They reduced it last year, and I think once they did that, it was a much better price for just about everyone. So I would recommend, if you want a solid fighter this generation, one that's not marred with tons of DLC and there's still not got collision issues like Street Fighter 5, you know what, this is actually a really great fighter, and I would actually recommend it. But I do think there's not a huge amount sort of single player wise, so if you're going to pick this up, make sure you got a buddy to play it with. I think that's what I'd say, because I'm not sure what the online community's like, but it's probably not that busy anymore, I would suspect. And even if you are going to fight people, it's going to be a bit crazy. Okay, so that's it everyone. Thanks for watching this randomised gaming stream. We're going to wrap this up pretty much on time tonight, as we're not going to do any extra time. That just wrap it up probably dead on, as we've got some other things to record at the minute for the next week ahead. So there's mentioned there won't be any streams next week, but we will probably be doing streams again the week after. We may slightly adjust the time, so just anything, because it's the middle of sort of summer, so not ideal to stream in this type of weather. But I hope you've enjoyed this week's streams. By all means, do drop some comments on the community page if you've got any games you'd like us to stream in the near future. I'd certainly be taking your input. Thanks for watching this Fight Night stream, everyone. Thanks for joining this stream, everyone. I'm going to wish you a good night, a good evening, a good afternoon, a good morning, wherever you are in the world. And as always, keep happy, stay safe, everyone, certainly in the current world climate. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will be back in a week's time to pick up the streaming, I think, although I may take a little bit of a break, but I'll let you know in the community page of Randomised Gaming's YouTube channel and on the blog if we're going to take a slight break. But we'll certainly next week there isn't going to be streams. But thanks for watching, everyone. Been a joy as always to have you all watching us, and I will see you all streaming again in the near future. Good night, everyone. Have a good weekend.